But you were originally right behind him,
Dead
weren't you?
behind Clint Eastwood's head. His head was right there. I could have thumped him on the ear just like that. And when he turned around,
That would have been the last thing you ever did.
If he turned around, like,
when he turned around and squinted at me, I'd say, "Go ahead,
go ahead,
make my day."
Something in the water taught me how to crawl. Something in the water taught me how to fall.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Something in the Water. I'm Sean Clark.
I'm Uncle Dave Griffin, and tonight we have with us as our guest my son, my natural-born, ever-loving son.
Mm-hmm.
This is Conor Griffin.
Howdy.
And
Also the drummer for the Pine Box Dwellers.
he's the drummer for the Pine Box Dwellers. He's the namesake of Graham Parsons. We named him, me and his mama named him after Ingram Cecil Connor III, who ended up being Graham Parsons of Cosmic American Music fame. Another Waycross boy.
We nicknamed him Coon Dog, which is actually Graham Parsons' dad's name, but we didn't name him. We didn't call him that because of that, but we're like, isn't that weird? That we're calling you that.
And that's
you're named
cosmic
after
is what
Graham
it is.
It is. It's cosmic happenings.
We probably should stop doing that.
I was reading. I got a big old thick book at home that I read one short story of O. Henry per day, and it's like my daily devotional, I guess. But they're so entertaining. O. Henry, the old short story writer from I think the 20s or 30s, might have been even earlier than that. Wrote The Gift of the Magi. That was the one that I was first introduced to in high school English, I think. But
I probably slept through that.
I read one of his short stories about a month ago. It had a character in there named Coonrod. Coonrod Standifer.
We also call him that.
That's the first I've heard of it, but hey, if the shoe fits. or whatever.
I told you to clean your room up before we left the house.
Well,
Oh, that's right. Yes. This is a professional setting now. This band that you two are in, called the Pine Box Dwellers, it has seen its share of ins and outs and comes and goings.
yeah.
And right now, it's interesting to me that y'all are a duo right now, and sometimes trio. But how's that working out?
It's going pretty good.
Yeah.
Playing as much as we can, and we can be a duo, and we could be acoustic in cajon or electric and drum kit, and we can also have guests when we feel like it. So
Right.
And you already, even in the band days when it was 4-piece band, I mean, y'all were the primary singers.
Mm-hmm.
The two of y'all. Connor's always harmonizing with you and doing some lead vocals himself. But so the vocals are not lost at all. I mean,
I'm digging it because
yeah,
we're real tight together, and
there's more money.
yeah, there's more money to go around.
True.
Yeah, well,
More
that's
leg
cool.
room. It's all about the leg room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
More space in the van.
Yeah.
More space to stretch your legs.
Well,
But us, we three, including Caution Light Justin, are got a project going on of songs that me and Dave have been writing together over the years.
we've got quite a few.
We'll get together and write them, and I'll go home and not remember anything. And Dave writes everything down and has all the keys and the chords and the the lyrics and the date and the time and the.
Right.
I'm just
Timekeeper.
I'm glad
I'm
that you're what it.
I'm just anal that way.
Yeah.
But and we've also Conor actually was writing a song the other day that he brought in
Yeah.
to y'all, and you'd cut a little two-part harmony demo of the chorus, which was all you had initially.
Yeah.
It's very cool sound, and a great old classic Americana murder ballad type song, song plot. But that one could wind up on the CD as well. So it's Waycross Stagecoach is what we're calling it. And it's not necessarily, I don't know if you'd call that a band name or just a thing,
Yeah.
It's, I think,
It's an entity.
an entity. Right. Yeah, but
don't have to be anything.
Who came up with that? Was that you?
I came up with the title, but I'm trying to
You're
remember what
bouncing ideas off Ian, right? Ian?
We were doing
this is way back.
This
before.
was way back in probably before 2010, even that you came up and said, if we could call an entourage, of musicians
from Waycross,
and
it'd be like a traveling medicine show.
It could change, kind of like Flying Burrito Brothers. When Ian came up with the Flying Burrito Brothers name, Ian Dunlop, who played the International Submarine Band, I think he may have came up with that name too.
Yep.
Ian was the bass player in Graham Parsons' early band. When they moved out to California, he came up with the idea of Flying Burrito Brothers.
But I think Ian was in New York when he came up with that.
He probably was, but
and then
it definitely applied by the time they got to Southern California with all the Spanish influence over there.
Yeah,
burritos and such. But back in the late 60s, early 70s, there was a lot of bands, going on like Strawberry Alarm Clock, Grand Funk Railroad, Chicago Transit Authority, Dick's Chocolate Headband, or whatever, these long names, Pacific Gas and Electric Company, and so Ian fell right in with that, and he came and said, how about the Flying Burrito Brothers? And they used that. Delaney and Bonnie were part of it. They would just jam under that name wherever in and around Los Angeles, and the musicians would come and go. It's like Bobby Keys, Jesse Ed Davis, Delaney and Bonnie, Leon Russell.
I didn't know that part. So it was just like
it was
rotating cast.
A rotating cast of whoever was hanging out in Los Angeles.
That's a cool idea.
But that's what we were talking about. And you came up with the name, which I always thought was great.
I think I came up with it when we were trying to come up with the Newfanglers.
Possible.
I think we were tossing that around, but when you come up with the Newfanglers, that was just like
I've always loved that just the name Waycross Stagecoach. To me, it just it goes back to my old childhood of watching all them cowboy shows on black and white television. That Stagecoach
it's like a cowboy TV show, like what variety show.
And I don't know why. I do know why, because I saw enough real color pictures or paintings or something. But stagecoaches, for the most part, were red. They were like fire engine red,
Yeah.
The old stagecoach, and I just love that image. I love the image of a stagecoach. But we're talking about, that's how I envision it. It's an album.
Gravy Train.
It's an album called Waycross Stagecoach, and made up of songs from 3 different people, co-written.
Kind of the same principle as Newfanglers.
It is.
And we'll probably end up having guest musicians fill out the spots anyway, just like the Newfanglers. I was thinking about that too.
Well, when Sean mentions Newfanglers, I know that we've
talked about
delved into that on past podcasts, but
Just to
the Newfanglers
refresh.
was an
project.
a songwriting project mainly that came about in 2003, and it was based on a true story that happened in South Georgia back in the 60s, probably 70s, 80s, and it involved two families feuding. It involved the intermarriage between the two families, like a Romeo Juliet kind of a thing.
Redneck Romeo and Juliet.
Redneck Romeo and Juliet, kind of Southern Gothic Shakespeare. And there was ass whippings and murder and revenge and all this stuff.
Wife beating.
Wife beating. That's another facet. Fascinating facet. And
It was a concept album.
yeah. And
Pink Floyd meets Hank Williams on a dirt road and fight it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you come up with.
yeah, Dark Side of the Moon Pie. Yeah. But the Newfanglers and the album, we recorded it using a lot of Waycross and area musicians, vocalists, talents. And the album was released in about 2007 and has made its way a long ways from here. I mean, there's a small group of hardcore fans. It's called the Newfanglers. Blood in the Pines, the story of Hollis Shepherd.
Yeah,
and
we didn't ever have a label or anything. We just putting it out independently. So,
Yeah,
So the fact that it went anywhere is
right,
cool. You know?
right. Friend of ours who co-wrote one of the songs on there, Ty Manning. He's an art teacher in Madison, Georgia, and he had gone out on a little vacation to Portland, Oregon, and was walking the streets of Portland, Oregon, up there in the cold logging country, and he had a Newfanglers t-shirt on, and he gets stopped on the street by somebody who says, "Oh man, I love that band." He says.
Yeah.
And he said, Ty said the hair stood up on his arms when that happened, so that was pretty cool.
Wow.
And another guy who had a big interest in it was a photographer in Nashville, and he had me mail him several dozens of copies, and he was putting them in the hands of record producers, movie directors, and anybody in his circle of creative people, and he was just trying to get it maybe picked up, as the idea of a screenplay.
It would be awesome.
And Conor, now this kind of ties in with all of that, but Conor went off to University of Georgia a few years ago and was majoring in drama. And
Bad mistake.
yeah, no, it wasn't. No. And while you were up there, you started writing did you call it a screenplay or a stage?
Well, it started out as a stage production, basically.
Production.
And
Of the Newfanglers' Blood in the Pines story.
mm-hmm.
So it was real life. It was a concept album. And then in Conor's hands, it started being a stage play. Is that what you call it?
Right. But thinking about morphing that into more of a screenplay, just as is right now, because really we don't have the resources down here, I don't think, to necessarily stage it.
I don't know.
Maybe,
I just heard Robert De Niro was
Well, yeah.
in town.
There you go.
And
Yeah, we hear tell of a movie being filmed down here.
Wash Me in the River.
Wash me, there's something in the water.
Something. It's called Wash Me in the Water. Something in the River.
Yeah.
It's called. And Robert De Niro and John Malkovich are the
Starring the lead
starring-
roles.
The lead roles. So it sounds like it'd be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, we just found out about it. I think Conor may have known about it because of his acting radar.
Yeah. I messaged the person in charge of casting just to, see what that was all about. And
When was this?
about a week ago.
Oh, okay.
So
What did they have to say? Nothing.
well,
Did it get
nothing
back?
yet. Nothing
They
yet.
hadn't got back.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, usually, and it may be because this is a pandemic going on, but usually you'll get calls for extras that'll go out all over the internet,
Mm-hmm.
and you told when you were still at UGA, you emailed me and Mom and said, "Hey, y'all might be interested in this. It's a Clint Eastwood movie
Yeah.
called The Mule. It's going to be filmed in Augusta." And I looked at that and said, that could be fun, and they were just had different extras they were looking for. And so you fill out this little personal history thing, and then you take 2 photos, one chest and up and one
Chest
waist
down.
and up.
Waist down.
Waist down. No.
We want to see your butt.
That's a very different kind of.
Turn around and shake that thing.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, but
You got it. You got
I
it.
ended up getting chosen for the mule, and that was a fun day. Now
I went to the movies and saw that, and I was like, "Dave,
there I am, right there.
There he goes.
I'm right under the chrysanthemum in a funeral scene. I'm sitting in the church,
But you were originally right behind him,
dead
weren't you?
behind Clint Eastwood's head. His head was right there. I could have thumped him on the ear just like that. And when he turned around,
That would have been the last thing you ever did.
He turned around and was like,
when he turned around and squinted at me, I'd say, "Go ahead,
go ahead."
make my day." And
But you got moved.
well,
two
it was
pews
funny.
back.
I was about 5 pews, and he was sitting on the front row, and I was about 5 pews back on his side initially. And I was sitting right here on the end of the pew, and this little bald-headed, bespectacled casting director or something kept walking up and down the aisles, thinking. I could hear the gears turning in his head. Finally, he stopped at my pew and he taps me on the shoulder. He says, "You, sir, you, ma'am, and you, sir, come with me."
Mm.
And he started walking down towards Clint, and I got up out of the pew and just stood there and let the lady and the other guy get in front of me because I was strategically plotting where I was going to sit on that empty pew up there, the second pew right behind Clint. And if I let them go in front of me, I'd wind up right behind him. So that's what I did. See, I wasn't acting. So we get down. He puts us on the second pew, and I guess because we fit, where one of them was a black lady, and so I guess the demographic shift. That was a demographic shift, and so here we are. I'm dead behind him, and I can't control my excitement. I am so happy, I said. I'm thinking in my head. I'm saying, "They'll never believe this back home."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wait till I tell Gary this.
You got the grinning so much they said, "All right, you move."
No, I didn't have to. I was acting then. I was in control of my emotions. I was just sitting there thinking, I'm right behind that old Clint Eastwood's head right now. And that's Josie Wells. That's Magnum PI. I mean Magnum Force.
That's Tom Selleck.
That's the wrong one. Magnum Force. That's Billy Bronco and
What about Any Which Way But Loose?
Any Which Way But
What
Loose,
was
whatever
name of
his name was.
Bilo.
He was the man with no name before he was any of it. And before he was any of it, he was Rowdy Yates.
Philo Beto.
Philo Beto. He was Rowdy Yates on the old cowboy TV show Rawhide.
His first movie was the second Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Creature of the Black Lagoon.
And it had a title, different title. It wasn't Creature of the Black Lagoon 2, but Return of the Creature or something.
Yeah.
He was a scientist with wild hair like James Dean.
Oh, it was just like this wall mountain of hair, And
What year was that?
Oh, probably 50s, late 50s.
He was too pretty for science.
He was a handsome devil, and he epitomized the macho movie star. In fact, he was often chastised about his violent movies. And a little bit of
he was
misogyny and everything.
They used to call him Squintin' Tarantino.
Yeah, I was just watching Barbara Walters interview with Clint, and she asked him about the squint, and he said, "It's because I can't take the bright lights and stuff." He said, "That's all it is, the squint. It ain't nothing behind it at all."
Mama always told me honesty was the best policy.
Did she make him cry?
Huh?
Did she make him cry?
Who?
Clint Eastwood.
Did who make him cry?
Barbara
Walters?
She makes everybody cry. That's her thing.
No, she kept asking him.
Do you remember the first time your mama hit you?
Her thing, she kept circling back to, why don't you think you're sexy?
Oh,
do you think you're sexy?
She thinks he's sexy. That's why she kept talking about it.
She kept talking about it. I heard that people talk about him in the earlier days, saying how imposing a figure he was. He's tall, very tall. And Hollywood, and you make an entrance into a room, a restaurant, or whatever, and you're this tall, good-looking guy like that, and it's instantly, heads are turning and tension
happens to me all the time.
Just kind of, you feel the energy just getting sucked into that, straight to that person, out of the room and all.
I'm usually the shortest one.
But how do we get on this? So
you were in a movie.
That's right. I was in The Mule.
So now you're right behind Clint Eastwood, and then
then the little casting director kept pacing up and down, thinking, and I felt him right over my shoulder, and I was thinking in my head, get your ass away! Don't you do it! Don't you do it! And then he said, "You, sir, come with me." So
did you yell out, "Clint, no!"
I left.
Clint.
I was holding on to the pew, and they were dragging me away. But I had to leave the back of Clint's head behind, and he put me right back where I started again. But
I thought you were like just 2 pews behind him because
it was about 3 or 4.
You were
that was a small church.
Yeah, but you were. You were there in the shot. I seen you.
Yeah, and the camera was sitting like if this is the church congregation, Clint Eastwood's right in front of me, and we're looking at the pastor up there, or the eulogist. The camera was sitting right over the eulogist's shoulder, and there was some floral displays, and you can see creeping right over the lens out of focus. You can see a big old orange chrysanthemum or something there, and I'm dead under that orange chrysanthemum. In the background, you can see slightly out of focus, but you can tell it's me because, see this? I'm not wearing a hat tonight, folks. You can see that in the mule. This right here. You can see coming to a theater near you.
You know what just occurred to me
This is the mule, but who's that jackass?
Oh, so we got off on the mule,
Talking about movies and
acting and stuff. Well, Conor was the one that sent us that email when you were up at college and saying they're casting extras and all, but we never heard about this movie in Waycross now. I never heard a thing about it. It must be
Y'all
because
told me
of the
tonight.
pandemic or something. Maybe they're not doing casting calls as much as, or just it was probably just the need.
that sounds like a fast train to COVID.
Yeah.
Casting calls.
casting calls. Yeah,
Why don't you
in
come
these
out?
days, you know.
Bring your COVID. Come on down.
Or maybe the story itself didn't call for a lot of, you know.
Could
we
be.
need 100 midgets.
Yeah.
What's this?
They're little people, Dave.
It's
They're,
the Wizard of
they're
Oz.
called little
You
people.
know? You know, but that's the way they called them in 1939.
Address your hate mail to the attention of David Griffin.
Don't. No. Yes, I was doing a Hollywood. We need 1,000 midgets. Have them here by noon. And so
So this will be our last episode.
so how did you get into acting? Tell the folks out there watching what
Well, it
lit your fire.
Well, it all started when I was about 8 years old, I reckon. Maybe even younger than that. But you were watching in the living room. You were watching an episode of you were watching Little Shop of Horrors, and I guess
You said, feed me, Seymour.
I just hopped on in and watched it with you, and I thought, damn, this looks pretty cool. I might want to do this one day. And next thing I know, I'm playing percussion for the production of Little Shop of Horrors at the high school. And so that
was the next thing you knew? You was 8, and the next thing you knew was in
next thing I knew, I was
you
in
hit your
high school,
head?
man.
And they were
All-
doing
the rest of it's just all blurry.
Yeah.
the high school drama club was doing a production of it, and you were supplying the music. You were playing the drums in it.
Not the drums. I was just auxiliary percussion, which is a lot more fun, by the way.
Oh yeah, you get to do the
Vibra-slap and the
bells and the-
cowbells and the agogos and the bongos and the congas and
Slide whistles. What?
but that's not how I got to the cajon. That's another story. But anyhow, Little Shop, they did such a good job that I was watching, you know, you had to be in charge of watching your cues on stage. So I had to be familiar with the story and just watching it all unfold. I thought, you know, I could do that.
You're going to be on the other side.
Yeah.
So,
And,
what was your first acting role?
Little Shop of Horrors.
Not Little Shop of Horrors. There was a one-act play we did in high school. I was the art teacher, Mr. Grant. And I had this line about bubble wrap.
Okay.
I think I
Something
remember
about-
seeing that. I think I remember that. Wasn't there something about shoes?
Yeah, shoes along the highway.
I remember
Shoes
he
where it
used to
was.
cry because you never would go to his plays. I think I remember something about bubble wrap.
Daddy never.
I supported everything he ever did.
Daddy never loved me.
Daddy never came to my high school plays, y'all.
I never had time.
I didn't
son.
know-
I was always trying to make a living, and
You
Feed
weren't
you.
there. You weren't there.
I didn't even know you was acting.
well, I tell you,
I
and
thought that-
then
I thought you was just being a smart ass.
next thing you know, I guess you were about 13 or 14 when you.
That was a dark time.
No,
was his
well,
dark
wait a minute
period.
now. You're talking about being in that high school play as your first acting role. Weren't you younger than that when you
Oh
were in
yeah, Annie Get
Annie
Your
Get
Gun.
Your
That
Gun?
was like I never
Yeah,
counted that,
you
but
were
I
only
suppose
about 12 maybe.
that was
That was
Ritz
a
Theater.
Waycross area community theater production there, the local community theater type thing. And it was good. It was good. But I remember you in that. The one that scared the hell out of me, though, was after high school, or were you?
Yeah, it was after high school, about a year after high school. Dracula.
You played Renfield,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah, that was
crazy,
good.
You looking
the
at me like,
crazy,
yeah, that
Yeah, he
guy.
did. He wasn't. I don't think he was playing.
the insane dude
Yeah.
in the story of Dracula. I mean, to tell you something now, I sat in the local community theater in the audience.
And
I
you watched me try way too hard at that, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I said I watched my son transform himself into this raven lunatic.
Blame it on the anime.
I mean, psycho. I mean, the eyes and the fake blood and everything, and the hair, matted hair and all. And that was some real acting right there, because it ended up reminding me a lot of your mama.
Oh no!
And,
whoa!
Yeah, on
That's,
Tuesday, like on Tuesday nights.
A Raven lunatic.
Yes, she only on Tuesday nights.
Taco Tuesdays.
No,
She loses it.
no, I was just kidding about that. But I swear to God, after that performance of Renfield, I did lock my bedroom door at night when he was in the house, because it was definitive. It was very real. That was one of the best performances. Mom always likes your performance in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I like that one too.
Yeah, that was good. It was good. Everything you've done has been pretty good, pretty right on.
Pretty good actor.
He's
That's a T-shirt.
Good.
Pretty good actor. So anyhow, we was talking about screenplays and stuff. If the Newfanglers ever see the light of day, it'll be because we've sat down and hammered out a screenplay, and that ain't easy. I should have started on one, actually, a screenplay, like a movie thing, and didn't know what I was doing. I just kind of like looked at some scripts and said, okay, you got to write
Words.
long shot camera, truck in the distance.
Yeah.
Hauling ass down dirt road,
And I think I took from that. Didn't you write that in that yellow pad?
Yeah.
Yeah, I took from that.
It seemed like I wrote about 6 full pages on a legal pad of characters back into, character, what do you call that? Lines, characters, talk, dialogue.
That's why you only got to page 6.
That's why I'm not in the movies. I don't know the right words.
Lyrics, dialogue.
And
About the same.
so we might have combined some of the elements in my legal pad with your stage production,
Right.
that you got going up there at UGA while you were at UGA. But no, your UGA time was not a waste of time.
Oh no, I know. I was just messing around when I said that, but I realized it. I had a great time.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't what I was meant to do.
Yeah.
I think music is what I've always
player and Pine Box Dweller.
That's right. Yeah. I mean,
I told him that before he left.
And look at what that did.
And
your daddy was like, "Let that boy get an education."
I did. I said that.
Now
I said,
listen.
you boys need to lighten up now.
Like this.
Yeah, that was
That's all right. He come crawling back.
Crawling back to you.
No.
But now, not only are you the drummer in Pine Box Dwellers, you're also a library employee.
Yeah.
I was going to say a fry cook.
He's a
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
he's into books, not milkshakes.
That's a really
beg
good
to
job.
differ.
You know.
You like
That boy likes the milkshakes.
the library?
so.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's it's very chill down there.
Yeah.
Milkshakes brings all the Conor to the yard.
I don't know about that.
I do.
I remember going by there in the 60s, when I was a kid. It was the it was the Waycross Library, I guess is all it was called then. I think it was always called Regional.
It used to be when you was around. It used to be called books.
It used
They didn't come up with library yet.
Another thing that we were thrilled to death was in the summertime. Summertime, school's out for 3 months back in the day, and they would the library offered this service called the Bookmobile.
Yeah.
They still
People
have that?
still talk about that.
They
I mean,
don't?
they don't.
Okay. It
it's
was
not.
so exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's like this van. Well, it's
Yeah, I think
oversized truck would come bumping down the dirt road, and we'd get excited as if it was
Mama.
if it was the ice cream man,
Mama, the books is coming. The books is coming.
the Bookmobile was coming.
You could
Let me scrape up my change.
back then you could put mobile at the end of anything. Batmobile, Bookmobile. It was like,
This-
wow,
This even precedes
they got
the
one of them
Batmobile.
mobiles.
Yeah.
Ice cream mobile.
No, but it was great. It'd roll up and park, right out in front of your house, and you'd walk out there and get on the Bookmobile, and next thing you know, you're in Haiti. No, next thing you know, you're looking there, and it looks just like a little library inside. There's bookshelves on both sides of the Bookmobile, and you get to check out a few, and then it'll come back
White
a week
thing.
later or something like that, and you check your new batch out. That
Was there as many James Patterson books back then as there are today?
Yeah. James Patterson was just a gleam in the mirror.
I'm trying to remember what they called this in Memorial Drive. They used to have people would come around, I guess, all the elementaries, and they'd have a book fair or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which, thinking about it now, it's probably just people who selling books.
Scholastic.
Yeah,
Scholastic book
Yeah.
fair. And you'd get these little newspaper sized things.
Little
about the
catalog.
same as the thing. Only
It would have the picture of White Fang and have a wolf. I'm like, I want that one.
Mm-hmm.
I got White Fang and Karate Kid.
Yeah.
and it'd tell you how much they'd cost or how many
AR
Now,
points.
Tell your mamas.
points. Now, we didn't have AR back in my day.
Tell your mamas you ain't going to be able to read. if
Somebody
you don't
asked me
get a
the
book.
other day, they said, do y'all still do AR? And it's like, yeah, it's still around.
Accelerated reading.
Accelerated reading. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
AR
y'all didn't have
points,
AR. What did y'all have?
points. We just had books.
We just had books.
Back in my day, we just had one book, and we'd gather around. And
well, in my day, we had stone tablets.
Moses come down from the mountain. And he said, "Here it is. Here this is."
Cast your eyes upon.
This is worth 10 AR points right here. Y'all get busy.
This is worth 10 AR points. Don't drop it on your foot.
Moses, we can't read that. Well, you'll just have to trust me. Don't kill.
Oh, yeah, that's the old days. We've talked a lot about where I grew up, and it was the same road. In fact, it was in the house next door to the one that I grew up that you were born into and
Did y'all have a new kitchen?
raised for.
What?
Was you born in the kitchen or the bathroom?
You were raised for 3 years in that house.
What?
And it was on a little street called Mount Pleasant Road, which was dirt road forever when I was growing up. And
No mountain.
I guess by the time you were there, it was paved. And my Uncle Vance nicknamed it Dog Hill. So that's where the Dog Hill references that you hear all over these podcasts. It goes back to that road that I grew up on, and Conor lived on it from 93 to 96, and then we moved. Did you ever go over there?
No, I didn't know you until y'all
moved into the 2-story?
Yeah.
Do you have memories of the house?
Strangely, the only thing I remember about that house is when I was in a crib. I don't know how I remember this.
What?
But I was in the crib.
You just made up some dream.
Nope. And I remember that air conditioning in the room, or the ventilation was just loud, keeping me up all the time.
Were you scared?
No?
You used
I wasn't scared. I was just like,
I think you had a thing about ceiling fans at one time.
At one time, yeah.
Had to think about
you were afraid
I had
of
a
them, I
thing
believe.
about ceiling fans.
Were you afraid of them, right?
Yeah. At one time, because of that
You
commercial.
called them wobble wobbles or something.
Yeah,
Or was that on the commercial?
It was on the Braves commercial, because I remember one time there was that commercial, and I think it was about need to repair a ceiling fan, and it had this ceiling fan that was just wow all over the place, and I said,
like,
I don't want no part of that.
Yeah.
And
he ended up calling it a wobble wobble.
Oh,
wobble fan. Oh, Phyllis, you got a wobble fan. Oh boy.
Well, that's I don't have a whole lot of memories. I think we've talked about this on other podcasts too, but I don't have a whole lot of memories that predate like 3 years old, and that's exactly. You were 3.5 when we moved from that house, so I can imagine your memories of that old house that we lived in on Dog Hill are few and far between.
Yeah.
You
I don't
don't
even
have
know
any
how I
real
remember that.
clear, concise memories. But I'll tell you what you did a couple of things there that really impressed the heck out of me. And one was your Uncle Gary gave you one of these plastic Fisher-Price drums for Christmas or your birthday one time. And I was in a band back in those days, mid-90s, and we would record videos of some of our sets, and you would watch them religiously. You'd sit down there and watch our band performing up there, and you'd play along with us and sing along with us and everything. But you had them little red drumsticks and that Fisher-Price drum and was watching this. And I swear to God, you started doing a double stroke roll when you was about 2. It was like, it's I was thinking, holy gosh. And then the other thing was you used
Caught the bug early.
Yeah. Oh, I was tickled to death. The other thing was you had this little tiny, it was probably about that big synthesizer.
I was going to say something else.
Little keyboard that would sit in his bedroom on the floor up against the wall. And in those days, he watched a bunch of, he'd go through phases like Thomas the Tank, Blue's Clues, stuff like that. And then he'd get on a Disney kick, and we had all the Disney VHS movies, Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella,
Little Mermaid, Snow White,
all women,
all the girl ones,
all the girls, Lady and the Tramp, just everything Disney had.
Yeah.
He would watch them, but he'd get on one, and he'd stay on one
Forever.
till it was like, oh God, Conor, come on, man. You know,
Pick another one.
yeah. But one time, and you know how Disney, they work a lot of music into their movies and all. So he was on to something in one of the Disney movies, and then he leaves the living room, and we hear him puttering around in the bedroom in there, and he flips that synthesizer on and sits down and starts playing the exact notes, melody of that Disney song on TV that he was just watching. It's like, oh, do, 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 do. You know, something like that. And I said, yes,
I did
he's
that
got
too.
an ear.
I was doing the Star Wars theme. And
Yeah.
I remember being at one of my mom's friend's house, and they had a piano. I couldn't even see. I wasn't even tall enough to see the keys. I'm like doing them like this, and I'm like figuring out Star Wars. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
And she's like,
It's only until you hear it till you
Yeah.
get convinced, like, I know this. This ain't that hard.
Yeah. Oh.
she got me a used piano after that, but I never did learn to play. Back then, they didn't have. Well, they probably had teachers, but we didn't get one.
They didn't come up
They
to
didn't
our
come.
house.
They didn't come over to my house. They didn't have the YouTubes.
Yeah, good old childhood stories. You, another great story that I like to relate is his Conor's love of everything Beatles.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it started
Everything.
naturally enough.
Beatles
because
cereal. Beatles.
he was born on July 7th, 1993, which is July 7th is Ringo Starr's birthday. Cosmic, and little Ringo Starr was kind of sickly when he was
Little Ringo.
he had
They call me Little Ringo.
he had peritonitis, something like that. He all he could do was eat baked beans forever. And
What a miserable
You
life.
talking about
that'd
this
be.
little Ringo or the other
no,
little Ringo?
the real Ringo,
OG
but
Ringo?
Connor was premature when he was born. Spent
That's Gringo.
And I
16 weeks in the NICU before we could even bring him home. So we had a little touch of that.
I've had to eat baked beans for the rest of my life. It's been hard.
And I've had to ride in the van with him.
Eating baked beans in the passenger seat.
Not good. That's not a good combination, a van and baked beans. But
Be rolling the windows
When,
down quite often.
when he was in his little NICU incubator and stuff, they let us put a little Walkman in there, and we could make cassette tapes at home and take them down there and leave them with you, during the week when we'd have to come back home and I'd have to go to work. It's killed your mama. I didn't care all that much.
He's like, let's go.
Hadn't you seen him enough?
The buffet's going to close.
No. So we'd make these little cassette tapes, and the nurses down there would play them for you while you just laid there, in your infancy, and not knowing a damn thing about the world other than it was dark, and you were probably cold.
Hey, that's today. The world
What
is
was on the
dark and I'm
tapes, though?
cold.
Music.
I know you can't see me right now, and you must be confused.
Your
I'm your daddy.
your
You listen to my voice.
your brothers, your older brothers, and your older sister singing songs and talking, and we'd talk and then I'd play a lot of music, play some Led Zeppelin. And,
Now was that
yeah,
was that you or was that that was you?
Huh?
That was you recorded.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
making those. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it always ended with Ringo singing "Good Night." From the White Album, the last song on the White Album.
You know what's crazy?
The actual
You
song. or
dreamed of
singing
that?
it?
No, one time, we were
time.
coming back from
It
a
was
gig.
real.
We were coming back from a gig. We didn't have any music playing on the radio, or Spotify or nothing. But "Good Night" by the Beatles was going through my head just on a loop.
Mhm.
And right when it got to the chorus in my head, Sean in the front seat started going, "Good night."
That's
and I'm
how in
like,
tune we are.
whoa.
I remember that you
Yeah.
Oh,
It-
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
So that was
you were
going through my
you were
head.
just
he was playing the song in his head. He wasn't
Yeah,
singing
the
it.
song in your head, and you started,
we were in
and you got
silence.
right to it.
Yeah, we were in silence.
Oh,
and then
Lord,
Sean
man.
goes,
I'm fixing to-
"Good
you-
night." And that was exactly where it was in my head.
I'm fixing
I'm
to
like-
drop this mic on the floor.
And I said, "Boy, if that ain't cosmic, if that ain't a sign,
That's more
you know,
than cosmic right there.
I mean, all the time it shows.
you'll play one note of just
Sometimes
you
I
know,
don't
in between
even-
songs, and
Yeah,
you'll be
sometimes
like,
if I play a chord, that's one thing. But sometimes I don't even play a chord. You're like, "Gambler's Eyes." I'm like, "Yep, that's what I was gonna play."
yeah." It's like, how'd you know that?
Fishing for wishes. Yes.
Well, that means that y'all
We were separated at birth.
are brothers. Y'all are brothers of the road. You can. That's probably the way the Beatles felt. Paul and John. They probably were that in tune. Well, they had to be. The four of them were so in tune to one another because of what they lived through in that bubble. That self-imposed bubble. They would have died if they hadn't have self-imposed in that bubble.
Mhm.
They would have been torn to shreds by fans.
What's funny is I would never would have thought me and you would be this tight in a band and them playing music and mentally connected when you were this big and I was working at Crosstown Music.
Yeah.
And I was saying, "Hey, Connor, high five.
Hey, Mr. Sean.
Hey, Mr. Sean."
Yeah. It's crazy. The first memory I have of you was, I think we were in Little Nights or somewhere where you were playing, Dad. And Sean, you were sitting at the same table as I was, and you were just doing these little wavy hand motions and everything.
This, the two-finger deal.
Yeah, I don't know what you were doing, but I was just
That's my little
captivated.
kid go-to.
I was like, "Whoa, what is that?" Like a little cat or something. Like,
Taking my thumb off and stuff.
not all that, but
This is a bird.
I'm
Go,
like,
go tell your mama this is a bird.
Mama,
Oh, man.
look.
Mr. Sean told me that's a bird.
Sean.
Yeah.
Well, when we, let's say, I guess you would have been about 4 or 5. We went on vacation
And left him home. All alone.
I had a good time.
And some crooks tried to
to
break him.
Orlando. And when we left Waycross, headed to Orlando, I took Meet the Beatles, the very first Beatles album that they
In America.
recorded was Please Please Me.
Yeah.
Right.
But you
very
said Meet
first-
the Beatles, which
Meet
was...
the Beatles was the Capitol, the American
Mhm.
first album. Anyhow, the first Beatles album, put it in the CD player, and you were strapped. We had a van, so it was me driving, Mom over here, and you in the very back, in the middle of that sofa seat in the back of the van, strapped in a car seat, right in the middle, just looking around, not bored at all. You was a good traveler. We'd be riding by acres and acres of cows and Desolation Row, and you'd be out there just looking at it. Most kids would be screaming and bloody murder after 30 minutes, but you were fine, and you were rocking out to the Beatles. And so you heard them all the way to Disney World, and then we spent 3 or 4 days down there, you know, back to the theme parks motel, and you'd hear maybe a half of a song, you know, and then you'd get out and go to the theme park all day. Mm-hmm. Get back in, you'd hear the rest of the song. Mm. So it slowed way down. And then we headed back home and picked up the long playing albums again. And when we got to Jacksonville, it was right at the beginning of Sgt. Pepper's.
That's when everything
album
changed.
And we just got through Jacksonville, and the song was Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And as soon as it ended, Conor's little voice in the back of the van says, "Play it again." And so I said, "Yeah, I'll do that for my boy. He likes the Beatles. All right." So, and it was like, after about 30 minutes later, it was one more. One more time.
3 hours later.
3 hours later, it was. And then I said, "Son,
enough's enough.
I'll make you a tape with nothing but Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds on when we get home. But we got to move on.
We got to get better than this." And it just so happened.
And my last Beatles story is another Orlando thing. We went to Old Town in Orlando, and you were probably about 7, maybe 6 or 7 at that time. And we were in this kind of restaurant / bar in Old Town. Mm-hmm. And they had karaoke in the middle of the day, and this guy's up there, and Conor run, "Dad, can I go sing Come Together?" I said, "Sure." And this little kid runs through across the dance floor and up to the stage and puts in his request, and the guy's kind of looking at him suspiciously like, "Oh, great, another kid," you know. And so he kind of announces him, you know, like, "This little kid is going to sing Come Together by the Beatles now." And he starts up, music and everything. And Conor's up there just kind of dancing on one foot back and two like this, holding that mic.
Slapping his leg.
And the vocals comes in, and he's perfect pitch, you know, because he's got that ear. And although it sounded about as high as Shirley Temple, you know, but you don't expect, you know, you
expect something like Disney Channel music or something.
You expecting John Lennon to come out, you know, but it's John Lennon on helium, and but everybody in that place just like their heads yanked around like whiplash, and they were getting into it. And when he finished, he came running back to the table and just all
continue
happy.
Life as normal.
All happy. You was quite full of yourself. Of course, we were all saying, "Man, that was great," which it was, you know. We're proud of you. And we were standing over by the bar right after that happened, and I saw the biggest biker-looking dude, and he was walking. I mean, talking about tall, round, long, black, curly hair, kind of like a wife beater T-shirt on, you know.
Spider tattooed on his forehead.
Mustache and beard, you know, and he looked like a wrestler. And huge, you know, just built guy. And he was looking at me and Conor and his mom and walking straight towards us, you know. And I was thinking, oh, hell, what have we done now?
Not a Beatles fan, huh?
And I don't know what I did. I couldn't do anything. I might have just kind of took one step forward in front of y'all, and just kept looking at him, but he got right up to us. And then he looked down at you, because you were way down here. He looked down at you and he said, "Man, me, you." And Conor was just like grinning at him, and he pulled up the sleeve of his T-shirt, and there was this huge tattoo of the earth with a banner around it said, "Imagine," the John Lennon song.
Oh, wow.
So he was a huge Beatles fan, but that was a nice moment.
Yeah.
It could have been bad.
That's exactly how I steer bad situations. I just grin them off.
Yeah.
And eventually they turn out good.
Yeah.
Like, come on, Bobby. I think something's wrong with the boy. He's smiling too much. He don't even know you're about to beat his ass. Come on.
Oh, man.
So let's take a break.
Something like that.
Let's take a short break and come back and talk some more.
Be right back.
Something in my brain won't let me stray. Something in my veins gonna find its way. Something in the water taught me how to pray. When the cold black water finds its way into your veins, you'll never be the same.
Hey folks, welcome back again. Sean Clark, Uncle Dave Griffin, and our guest this week is my son, Conor Griffin. Well, I don't know how many of you know this, but probably a good many of our watchers do, is that I've been putting on a couple of music festivals here in Waycross, Georgia for a long time. The annual Grand Parsons Guitar Pull and Tribute Festival, we always have that around the end of September every year. But last year, we were unable to do it because of the pandemic. You probably heard about that too. We had to cancel the live music festival. We ended up pulling off a virtual Grand Parsons Guitar Pull right here in this very room. Caution Light Media Studios, and it was a tremendous success. But the second festival that actually spun out of the Grand Parsons thing 11 years ago was called the Swamptown Getdown Music and Arts Festival. It's a little more eclectic blend of music than the Grand Parsons Guitar Pull is. We offer music ranging in style from indie music, bluegrass, Americana, jam band, country, just reggae, just a little bit of everything. And we were able to do it last year. Typically we have it in mid-March. So we were the last festival before the pandemic shut down. And I remember a lot of people coming to us afterwards, very grateful for that opportunity, to dance barefooted one last time before they shut us down.
It was a good send-off.
It was, yeah.
Definitely.
So here we are a year later, and I didn't think that we were going to have Swamptown Getdown either, because 2020 was a bad year for us all. It was particularly bad for me. It tried to kill me. I suffered through a heart attack, stent, COVID. Me and Conor both caught COVID in December. I had a little thing on my thyroid that they thought may have been cancerous, but it ended up being not. So everything worked out great, but it sure put me through the beater. And it was about the time that I caught COVID in December that I just said, I'm done. I am not looking forward to putting on a festival in March. So I put a little message on the out to all my staff members, indicating that I was against doing the festival, and they thought better of it. About a couple of weeks ago, we had a staff meeting and decided that following the protocols of Live Oak, Spirit of the Swanee Music Park, they hold a lot of festivals down in North Florida. We followed their plan of action with COVID protocols, and we are actually going ahead with our Swamptown Getdown Music and Arts Festival this year, and the dates have been slid back just a little bit. We'll be doing ours March 26th and 27th at the Okefenokee Fairgrounds in Waycross, Georgia.
It'll be good.
These guys will be playing along with a lot of the other regulars and some
great lineup.
Great lineup of groups, and I think we'll have a little flyer that you can look at right here. Check out it. Everything. You can go to stgdfest.com and purchase tickets. Things will be done a little bit different this go round because of the pandemic. We're going to strive to be socially distanced as an audience. It won't be. We won't be rounding you up like cattle in pens or anything. It'll be wide open like it always is. We'll just have these zones marked off in the grass where you and your 5 friends will be in this area. Then there'll be a nice space before the next 6 friends, and so forth and so on. And there'll be a limited number of spaces available in the audience. We will have RV camping, tent camping, the vendors. Everything will remain the same as far as our past music festivals, except we're in the middle of a pandemic. We got to be a little social distance, practice that. Wear the mask when you're outside of your safe zone, when you go to the bathroom, when you go to the vendors row, and wash your hands. That's all we got to do. And y'all, what are y'all going to do? You gonna sing with your masks on?
Hazmat suits.
Who is it? Flaming Lips. They got bubbles.
The bubbles. Yeah.
They got bubbles in
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
No, we won't be wearing no mask and singing.
That's right.
But I went. How you're talking about having everybody squared off. Me and the wife, I took her on her birthday to Charleston and to see Shovels and Rope, and it was like that, and we had a great time, and it was pretty cool. It didn't seem, even though we were sectioned off, it didn't.
Well, I think the desire that everybody is so cabin fever.
You could feel, even though we were separated,
like,
you could feel the love. We're actually getting to do this. You know?
True. Well, I think that's going to win out in this. I hope so anyhow. But
right.
I'd like to invite everybody to go online, check it out, and if it's something that if you're ready to get your feet into some grass again, and with some live music in front of you, Swamptown Getdown Music and Arts Festival in Waycross, Georgia, March 26th and 27th of this year. Well, folks, it's time once again for the Tale of the Week from Uncle Dave Griffin, and
you can get it from.
Oh well, yeah, you can order it from. by the way, we've got an email now that you can correspond with our podcast here. It's called somethinginthewaterpodcast at gmail.com. So just shoot us a little email if you want to order a book or what have you.
If you have anything you want to tell us or
comments,
ask us,
questions,
or, yeah.
This week's tale of the week is not in the book, but
Bonus.
Yeah.
it's kind of we're cutting this. We're recording this in the second week of February, which lines up with my tale of the week. In the wee hours of a January morning in 1993, I was on the job at the Waycross Post Office, sorting magazines for delivery. I happened on one periodical, scanned through its pages, and my eyes fell on a colorful, cleavaged cartoon Cajun queen advertising the fun and festivity that lay in store for me at Mardi Gras in New Orleans. Now, I'd always heard about Mardi Gras, the beads, the baubles, the beignets, the boobs, the evil streets, the drinking, the sin, the debauchery. What's not to like about it? So with a few days of saved up annual leave, I convinced my girlfriend, Lynn, and our married friends, Karen Sunshine and Mike Woodard, to head for Louisiana. We struck out at about 1 a.m. on Saturday, February 13th, in my customized Ford Econoline van, arriving in New Orleans at about 11 in the morning. Our motel rooms weren't available yet, so we headed out a long bayou-lined highway in search of food. The restaurant we settled on was a low-slung eatery, not too high on class, perfect for the traveling South Georgians from the Okefenokee Swamp. We ordered crawfish and long-neck beers, and in a matter of minutes, the waitress came out wielding a tray with a mountain of crawfish, piled so high a show dog couldn't jump over it. She must have noticed our amateurish attempts as we dug in and politely instructed us to, honey, pinch the tails and suck the heads. We hadn't been in New Orleans but a couple hours, but we were right comfortable and made quick work of those delicious little crustaceous mud bugs and Budweisers. As we yielded to the atmosphere of our new home, we spent our time club hopping down Bourbon Street in the French Quarter night, having early morning breakfast beignets as a black saxophonist serenaded on a nearby street corner, and taking a paddle wheel riverboat ride up and back down the Mississippi. It was the Mardi Gras parades that were ceremoniously enchanting. Each evening of every night, there was a parade that could be found in the outlying parishes surrounding New Orleans. Costumed crew members aboard lavishly decorated floats tossed out prized trinkets, medallions, plastic shot glasses, gold doubloons, and colorful beads. I soon came to realize that the currency of Bourbon Street during Mardi Gras were those colorful strands of beads. All the guys scrapped and scraped at the parades to get as many as they could. The girls, they had to do but one thing and one thing only to get them from the guys. Let's just say my beads were gone with a flash. We happened to be in New Orleans a full week before the intense revelry of the grand finale that they call Fat Tuesday. There was plenty going on, but it was a far cry from what would come a week later. All in all, I think I saw 17 breasts during our stay. And if you going by my drunken double vision, then I reckon there was only 8.5 breasts. So, Metairie, Louisiana is a short 15-minute shot from New Orleans. And I knew we had to make a trip there to the Garden of Memory Cemetery where a former Waycross, Georgia boy lay buried. Ingram Cecil Conor III, known to the world as Graham Parsons, the musician who pioneered the sound of cosmic American music by merging rock and country genres in the late 60s. Passed away on September 19th, 1973. In a story known far and wide, Parsons' coffin was snatched by his former road manager, Phil Kaufman, and taken to Joshua Tree Desert for a ceremonious cremation, thus satisfying GP's last wishes. The cremation was aborted, the body recovered and properly buried in a sad grave located off Airline Highway in Metairie, Louisiana, acceding to the wishes of Graham's stepfather, Robert Parsons. The original plot marker was simply a round stone disc with the words "God's Own Singer" etched around the edges. That's the one that we saw when we were out there in 93. "God's Own Singer" was a song written by former Eagle and Flying Burrito brother Bernie Ledden, and was hardly a proper epitaph for Graham Parsons, who had left behind a prominent body of songs himself. More recently, the graveside has been appropriately adorned with a bas-relief portrait of Parsons, holding his guitar, and the inscription below, a verse from "In My Hour of Darkness," one of his own songs. After a few 4 days, our visit to New Orleans and Mardi Gras finally came to an end. We loaded up in the Econoline van and headed wearily east to Waycross. Mike Woodard gamely took the wheel as his wife Karen, Lynn, and I all passed out in the back of the van, with Neil Young in the CD player rocking us to sleep. To this day, if asked who some of his musical heroes are, Mike Woodard will coldly tell you, "It sure as hell ain't Neil Young." Not knowing how to eject Neil's nasal singing from the dashboard, and being the gentleman that he is, poor old Mike just kept driving down I-10, listening to Harvest over and over and over and over and over and over again.
It's a good one.
I imagine Mike, if you ask Mike, how far is it from Waycross to New Orleans? Instead of miles, he'll probably tell you about 372 cycles of Harvest.
Harvest.
If you listen to Harvest from beginning to end, 903 times, then you'll be in New Orleans.
Then all three of us ended up recording where Harvard, what recorded? House of David?
House of David in Nashville.
Full circle.
That's right. That was Pine Box Dwellers CD, right?
This morning I was listening to Harvest Moon at the library, just unknowingly just started going through my head. So I don't think that was on Harvest.
At the same time,
album,
I started singing it. At the same time, I was in my kitchen in my underwear, and I started singing it.
Pine Box Dwellers recorded in David
House of David recording studio.
House of David. What was Neil Young's? Elliot Roberts was one of the co-owners of it, and that was Neil Young's manager or producer one.
David Briggs.
David Briggs, that's right. Yeah. And y'all were up there. It must have been 7 years ago or so. 6, 5.
It was
3, 4.
You're kidding me. Yeah.
2015 or 2016.
Yeah, I went with him, so I had to do
Yeah.
5 years, yeah, shit.
Y'all had already done most of the work when I went. I went up there to do some harmony singing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a great old studio. It used to be Quadraphonic Studios in Nashville back in the day, back in the early 70s. And that's where Neil Young recorded Heart of Gold. And maybe not after the Gold Rush, he recorded that at his home.
The whole album Harvest wasn't recorded there?
Harvest.
Mm-hmm.
Harvest. Yeah, not Heart of Gold, Harvest.
For Heart of Gold's own Harvest.
Yeah. I meant to say the album name, Harvest.
Yeah, they got
And
They had the tape machine.
yeah, the original.
We didn't record on that, but
No, but it was sitting
It was
in
there.
I got to touch it. Get some of that mojo on me.
That was pretty cool. So speaking of the three of us, like we said earlier, be on the lookout. We're in the process of recording an album of originals written by some combination of all three of us. And it'll be entitled Waycross Stagecoach.
Rolling into a corral near you.
So folks, want to thank y'all for listening again. Be sure to like us, subscribe to us,
Like me.
rate and review us, and shoot us an email
Yeah.
to talk about whatever you want to talk about. If we get enough response from the emails at somethinginthewaterpodcast@gmail.com, if we get enough response there, we'll read some out over the air.
Over the air.
Over the air.
Mm-hmm.
So
And we accept meals or anything you want to send us.
send us some
T-shirts.
T-shirts, some underwear, or hats,
Booze.
um,
Boobs.
food,
Somebody's boob in
and
it.
lava lamps. Peace.
When the cold black water finds its way across through your veins, it just might seal your fate. It just might seal your fate. It just might.